just as we get started, we're going to talk to Eric Rittmeyer. He's a former U.S. Marine and the mental toughness coach with LifeMed Institute in Baltimore, Maryland. He is an expert in the field of mental toughness and emotional intelligence. He's been a professional speaker for the past decade at least. He is a regular guest on all the major television outlets. He is also the author of The Emotional Marine, 68 Mental Toughness and Emotional Intelligence Secrets to Make Anyone Instantly Like You. We instantly liked him, Eric Rittmeyer, and you know that he is also a favorite here on Wave. We appreciate you coming and talking to us today, Eric. Now, my producer said, Eric is on today, and I said, oh, great, that's wonderful. What are we talking about? And she said, menopause. And I said, oh, so I'm going to tell Eric about menopause today? Oh, I can tell you about menopause, Eric. If you want to know about it, you sit there for a second and I can tell you all about it. It's good to see you today.
Thank you for having me, Dawn. That was quite the intro, and I love your show, so thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. We'll always invite you back. What's going on today? What kind of mental toughness are we looking for when we're going against those hot flashes? Because I know you're the tough Marine, but you ain't had no hot flash, Eric. So you don't know nothing.
I haven't had.
Yeah, you don't know nothing about toughness, okay? So don't talk to me.
I don't even try to claim to know that piece, Dawn. I know I couldn't scratch the surface. You know, it's funny because the topic, obviously, you think mental toughness, emotional intelligence, menopause, it doesn't go together. And where I found that where my infatuation began with helping ladies with menopause was my coaching clients. I was working with a lot of ladies, and they were coming to me with some crazy stuff. You know, it was things that they had thought, things they had read, doctors they went to had given them information. And I finally came to the conclusion after lots of research and lots of studying and lots of talking with our patients here, the issue was menopause. There's just no resources available for ladies. So I became totally ensconced in the topic. And now I'm here to try to raise awareness and get ladies to understand that there are things you can do to help get through a very difficult part of your life.
You know, that is so true when it comes to so many things that we as women have to deal with. I don't know. The resources aren't there. I guess the way we get through it is kind of depending on each other, you know, and sharing that knowledge. But sometimes it's not good to share the knowledge that way because it's not always right. You know, you're doing what your mom or your grandma always did, and sometimes that's kind of folk tale-ish and may not even be safe. Okay, so give us what you have here. Where do you want to start off?
I think it's probably best to start off with, Dawn, just to get a couple definitions down, because you hear all these different things about menopause, and I like to kind of give a level playing field to understand kind of how they're really categorized. So it starts with perimenopause. You might have heard of premenopause. They kind of go interchangeably. This is the time frame where you start with a lot of those vasomotor symptoms, the hot flashes, the night sweats, brain fog, insomnia, hair thinning, some weight gain, some sexual vitality issues, possibly some heart palpitations. That can all start in that 40 to 44-year-old range. Believe it or not, those symptoms can continue for anywhere from 3 up to 10 years. 51 is the average age for what you enter when you call menopause, which is defined as 12 consecutive months of no menstrual cycle. And then after that, you go into postmenopause. So I think it's important to start off with, it's really broken down to perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. Age is not a guarantee. You could be younger, you could be older, but I think it's critically important just for everybody to understand what those terms mean.
Right, because that's not something, again, that's always talked about, that perimenopause, menopause, and all of that. And again, like you said, everybody's different. Every woman is different. So it's always good to talk to your physician about that. And then as far as treatments, I have never had a treatment for hot flashes other than just change your sheets and take your pajamas off.
There's a new one I was reading yesterday, actually. It said to carry around a battery-powered fan and to bring water to splash in your face. So when you wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning with the hot flashes and the night sweats, just splash some water in your face. Yeah. So here's the thing, right? There was some bad information. There was some bad information floating around. There were some studies that were done back in the early 2000s. It's called the Women's Health Initiative. And unfortunately, it spread some very false information that's just continued to spread all the way through to today. So what I find with a lot of our female patients is they've gone to their primary care, they've gone to their OBGYN, and they run some tests on them, they check their levels, they check their panels, and they come back and say, hey, you're in range. Everything's in range. Just cut out the chocolate chip cookies, no wine, and here's some anxiety medication, because they haven't done their research. The doctors, unfortunately, haven't gone into depth to see that there are ways to do it. Hormone replacement therapies is one of them, a very safe way to help with those types of symptoms ladies go through.
You know, but again, you just have to be careful there. Because of the amount of cancer that I've had and that my mom has had and my grandmothers both have had, all my aunts have had, we can't do hormones. So you also have to make sure that you know you have to know what is going on in your health and in your family history, which you should know anyway. You should always be able to advocate for yourself, and if you can, you should always know what's going on in your body, because when you talk about menopause, it's not just night sweats. Menopause can affect like osteoporosis. It can affect your heart and things like that. We laugh about menopause, but it takes your body through changes. It's a whole hormonal deal.
You know, a lot of ladies don't, not just ladies, a lot of people don't know this, Dawn. The #1 leading cause of death for women is cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular disease kills more women every year than all cancers combined. What is one thing that helps with cardiovascular health? Estrogen. What is the reason why most ladies over the age of 51 suffer from extreme cardiovascular disease? I believe, in my studying, reading, seeing what I've seen, I believe it's because of lack of estrogen after menopause. So these are all things, but I agree with you 100%. This is not me giving medical advice. This is not me saying hormone replacement therapies are right for everyone. What I'm a fan of is advocating for yourself, researching yourself, and understanding what's available, and you make a decision with your provider what's best for you.
Absolutely. That's why I was saying you're saying advocate. These are things we should know, but we should do this all throughout our medical journey, all throughout our living. Eric, we just don't do it. We don't do it. And I hear you say all the time that we need to know about ourselves. When it comes to menopause, too, I say men, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. A lot of men make fun of us, you know, because they say, oh, there she goes being emotional again. There are some emotional things tied up in this, and there are physical things tied up in this too. That's not just a myth, right?
Absolutely not a myth. There's chemical imbalances, there's hormone imbalances, and this now morphs into emotional disturbances because a lot of ladies do their research, they go somewhere, they're given bad information, people think they're crazy, they think they're not experiencing anything really nuts. I'm here to tell you firsthand, this is where my infatuation began, was talking with lady after lady after lady who all had the same symptoms, who all went through the same things, who were all dealing with these struggles because nobody really fully understood the extreme pain, the lack of sleep, the inability to think properly, up all night, having these heart palpitations. So it's something that has to be taken very seriously, and there needs to be many, many more resources available, not just to the ladies that are entering into menopause, pre-menopause, so you know to prepare. When you see these signs, this is what you should start doing. And again, it all starts with researching and making certain that you're an advocate for yourself. Make sure you understand what's available to you.
We appreciate you to know we've got a Marine on our side. I'm giving you a high five.
Virtual high five back at you.
Virtual high five for you. We appreciate you. How can we keep up with you? And is there somewhere where you have this information where we can just kind of peruse and at least understand all the information that you've given today?
Absolutely. My website's great. It's lifemedinstitute.com. My social media is great too. I have some videos on there. I just did a menopause video specifically for menopause, about 8 minutes long. That's on my social media, on Instagram, on Facebook. It's just Eric Rittmeyer. And I appreciate you having me out, Dawn. I'm here spreading the word about this. So I'm hoping it really catches on so more ladies can know what's out there to help them.
Eric, we appreciate you sharing all the information. I gave you a hard time, but I appreciate having a Marine on my side.
If you weren't giving me a hard time, I would think you didn't like me, Dawn. It's all good.
All right. We'll see you soon, Eric, and thank you for all the education that you share.
Thanks for having me, Dawn.
All right. We'll see you soon.